All right. Yesterday we ended chapter 6 for Blood on the River. What happened at the end of chapter 6? Haley?
He was walking to find the owner of the sword, and he saw
I like that you used Master Wingfield's name. So who is the he?
Samuel.
Well, explain who he is. Is he a grown man, a little boy?
I think he's little because he's playing.
Okay, a little boy that was playing in the water. So who is the main character of Blood on the River? Dominic? Samuel. So Samuel saw the sword. What else, Dylan? What was the rope going to be used for, Christian?
It was going to be used to hang Captain Smith.
Oh, so even though he's been unshackled and he helped with the Carib Indians, Master Wingfield did not forget his promise, did he? Why is Master Wingfield going to hang Captain Smith? Ruby? Why does Master Wingfield want to hang Tariq?
Because Captain Smith was complaining about how the gentlemen were being held down and will always complain about their bad situations.
Okay. He charged him guilty of what? Of killing a sailor? Did he charge him with killing a sailor?
No. With betraying.
Betraying.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is actually in charge more? Master Wingfield or Captain Smith? Got ready to call you Ruby. Morgan? Master Wingfield. Captain Smith can't give orders to anyone except his page, which is Samuel. He can't order anyone else to do anything. But Master Wingfield's feeling a little intimidated by Captain Smith. Why? Christian.
Because Captain Smith keeps on saying that the gentlemen don't know how to handle themselves. So he is fussing at Captain Wingfield and calling him a liar.
Okay, but Master Wingfield's feeling a little intimidated by Captain Smith. Why? Haley.
I have two answers. He's feeling intimidated because he doesn't like when people call him things because he's in charge, and I think because he's in charge because I remember Samuel said disobeying Master Wingfield would be like disobeying God.
Oh,
No, he didn't say disobeying Wingfield would be like disobeying God. He said disobeying who? Reverend Hunt would be like disobeying God. Okay? But Master Wingfield's feeling a little intimidated because he's noticing that Captain Smith has a lot of skills that he doesn't have. He can talk in Algonquin, so he can translate for him. And Captain Smith's very knowledgeable, very intelligent man. However, he's not in charge of the ships. He is in charge of the what? He's in charge of Samuel, but he's also in charge of...
His page.
That is his page. He's in charge of what? The army. Okay? And they knew they needed an army to go if they're going to settle a place. So, chapter 7, page 47.
So short.
Such fractions here we had as commonly attend such voyages that a pair of gallows was made. But Captain Smith, for whom they were intended, could be persuaded to use them. Captain John Smith, the true travels, adventures, and observations of Captain John Smith. We should all be on page 47 and following along. Yes?
Oh, it said could not be persuaded to use them.
Could not be persuaded to use them? Okay. The next morning dawns clear and warm. Captain Smith is back in chains and gallows sits ready. What is a gallows?
Oh.
The gallows are ready. What's ready? A hole. And what is the hole going to be for? Gallows are not graves. Gallows would be where you get hanged or hung, yes. So the gallows are ready. Reverend Hunt calls us together for Sunday services. We meet, gathered around the tree where Captain Smith is chained so that he can join us. Reverend Hunt's sermon goes on for hours. I think maybe he will not stop until every single one of us has promised never to sin again. He says to tell a lie is a sin, and that any man who lies for his own gain and does not repent will spend eternity in the agony of hell's flames. He looks right at Master Wingfield and Captain Ratcliffe, delivering his sermon with passion. I see Master Wingfield squirm. Captain Ratcliffe sets his jaw and stares straight ahead. Captain Newport looks at the two of them and shakes his head. I send up a prayer that Reverend Hunt's sermon will save Captain Smith from his hanging. After services, I bring Captain Smith some food. I wonder if it will be his last meal, yet he stays calm. I've been a prisoner before, and I escaped before, he says. When I was a soldier fighting the Turks of the Ottoman Empire, I was captured and made a slave. They shaved my head, put an iron ring around my neck, and brought me to auction to be sold like a beast. James and Richard are nearby, and they come closer to listen. The other slaves told me it was useless to try to escape. Impossible, they said. But one day we were working in the fields. I was threshing wheat with a threshing back. My master rode up on horseback with his whip. He cracked the whip, brought it down on my naked back, lashed my skin open. I was enraged. I took my threshing bat in both hands and swung. He swings his arms as if knocking the cruel master from his horse once again. Down he came, and before he could get his footing, I cracked the bat over his head. Then I beat him with the stub until there was no life left in him. No wonder Captain Smith is unafraid of these pale, weak gentlemen and their threats. If he wants to, he'll kill them with his bare hands. Then I shucked off my slave rags, put on my master's clothes, and rode off on his horse to my freedom. Captain Smith finishes his story. The three of us boys are silent. I admire his courage, and I admire the way he talks back to the gentlemen as if they have no right to lord it over him. I've never known another commoner who had the nerve to do that. Reverend Hunt comes marching up, a ring of keys dangling. He takes the keys to the clamps on Captain Smith's ankles. I've convinced them that without you as translator, we will perish in Virginia. Perish means die, so he's worried they're going to die if they don't have Captain Smith to help translate for him. Thank you, Reverend, Captain Smith says, rubbing his ankles. I owe you a favor. Reverend Hunt gives him a stern look. This is the favor I want then. I want you to act as though you have the proper respect for these gentlemen. If you insult them and anger them again, they may choose their pride over their survival in the new world. Captain Smith nods, and I wonder if he really does plan to be polite to the exalted gentleman from here on in. He is at least as stubborn as I am, so I know it will be hard for him to change. That afternoon, the sound of chopping wood rings out over the rumbling of the waves. The gallows is cut up and thrown on the fire where it nicely roasts our fish for supper. After 6 days on Nevis, I am fatter. Nevis is one of the islands that they're at. They all have all those islands they were talking about, one after another after another. Right now they're on Nevis. The birds are so tame we pluck them out of the bushes with our hands. The sea is teeming with fish, and the trees are full of fruit. The only natives on the island are afraid of us, and they stay well hidden. I am also cleaner. I've gone twice to the hot pools in the forest to bathe. But now Captain Newport says it is time to leave. We pack up the tents and cook pots, barrels we have filled with fresh water, meat and fish we have dried for the rest of our voyage, and crates full of pineapples, mangoes, plantains, coconuts, and wild bird eggs. We sail past the Spanish islands of Vieques and Puerto Rico. We stop on the island of Mona, just long enough to get fresh water and for a group of gentlemen to go hunting. They leave in the morning, taking a few soldiers with them for protection from the natives. They dress as if they are going pheasant hunting on a cool English morning in silk doublets, velvet breeches, stockings, shoes, and felt hats with their powder flasks hanging at their sides. The group returns in the evening, exhausted and faint, carrying what the expedition has killed: 2 boars, several iguanas, and the gentleman Edward Brooks. They say Brooks' fat melted inside his body in the extreme heat. Captain Smith has a few choice words to say about gentlemen who are too ignorant to know they should carry enough water on a 6-mile hike in the tropics, and too ignorant to take off their extra clothing when they get hot. But this time he is wise enough not to utter these words where any of the gentlemen can hear him. I did not know Edward Brooks well. He was a passenger on one of the other ships. Still, it is strange to see his pale, waxy skin and his limbs stiff with death. They dig a shallow grave for Master Brooks, and we sail away, leaving him there on Mona. I have dreams that night that the cannibals find his body, dig him up, and eat him. I awake in a cold sweat. I try to calm down, reminding myself that this could not possibly happen. No one digs up a grave for food.
Oh! Stop it!